us going. Did everybody see the safety video? Yep. Any questions? All right, you got briefing cards in the seat back pockets in front of you. Everything in the briefing is also in these briefing cards. There are also air sickness bags in these pouches here, so if you're not feeling well, grab a bag. This is a brand new helicopter. We want to keep that new helicopter smell in here. I'm going to do my best to minimize any turbulence or discomfort, but we might hit a couple of bumps every now and then. It's nothing to worry about. If there are no questions, I'm going to turn the mics off. I'm going to talk to the tower for the first 5 minutes of the flight. As soon as we leave the airspace, I'll turn the microphones on and we'll start the tour. That'll be about 6 minutes. So sit back, relax, enjoy the takeoff.
I wish that I could fly into the sky so very high, just like a dragonfly. I'd fly above the trees, over the seas, in all degrees, to anywhere I please. Oh, I want to get away. I want to fly. Let's go and see the stars, the Milky Way, or even Mars, where it could just be ours. Let's fade into the sun, let your spirit fly, we'll be our one, just for a little fun. Oh, oh, oh yeah! I want to get away, I want to fly away. Yeah.
Be a few more minutes and we'll be out of the airspace.
You hear them when you try to fall asleep. They crash to the shore. They come from the deep. As sure as the sun will rise, the sun will set. You taste the salt
Okay, we're outside the airspace now. Turn the microphones on, and you're welcome to use those throughout the flight. This is your tour, so feel free to ask questions or talk to each other. How's everybody doing so far?
Good.
All right, well, we're looking at the windward side of West Maui right now. This is the side of the island where the trade winds come from most of the time. 20 to 30 knot winds out of the northeast is our typical trade wind pattern, and it's kind of what we have right now, 27 knots out of the northeast. The trade winds are pretty important to Hawaii because they're picking up all this humidity evaporating off the ocean, pushing it up the slopes on the windward side of the mountains, causing that air to cool and condense and come right back down as rain and waterfalls. And that's how Hawaii gets all of its fresh water. 400 inches every year on this side of the island. On the other side of this mountain only gets about 4 inches per year. So we have deserts on the leeward side and rainforest on the windward side. Most people hang out on the beaches on the leeward side. The windward side is pretty interesting too. This is where the sea cliffs are. And this rock right here on our left is called Kahakaloa. That rock is 636 feet tall. And the name Kahakaloa means tall warrior in Hawaiian. This rock is named after a tall warrior. His name was King Kaakili. Kaakili was the ruler of Maui back in the late 1700s. This guy was 7 feet tall, 300 pounds. He was what they call a split warrior, and that means the whole right side of his body was tattooed, with no tattoos on the left side. He liked to swim out here in the morning, free climb up this point that sticks out off the rock right here, and cliff dive here from as high as 65 feet. You see the point right there over there, Hudson? Would you dive off that rock into the ocean?
Yes.
I probably would have when I was your age too. I wouldn't today though. So he would make his warriors cliff dive off that point right there to prove their bravery to him. And together, he and his warriors would go on to conquer almost all of the Hawaiian Islands. Although they never quite conquered the Big Island, King Kaakili was able to have a son on the Big Island, and it was actually his son who conquered all the islands in the year 1810. His name was King Kamehameha, and he became the most significant historical figure in Hawaiian history. In fact, we just celebrated his birthday on June 11th, state holiday, Kamehameha Day. All right, we're going to head over to Molokai. This is really the focus of our tour today. That's the island that you see right in front of you. Looks really far away, doesn't it, Hudson?
Yeah.
It's about 10 miles from here. What you may not realize is we're traveling pretty fast. Getting up to cruise speed here. We'll be doing 135 knots, which is about 150 miles an hour. Doesn't feel like it, does it? Alright, so let me make a couple of quick radio calls to get us some flight following before we cross the channel, and I'll be right back with you to tell you about Molokai.
Island of love, lovely princess of the islands, Kauai, island of love. Listen, can't you hear her calling? Aloha, welcome her slaves, the waves rush in to kiss her shores. Heaven is another name for Hawaii, island of love.
Alright, back with you now. You can see the island of Lanai out the left window. We're going to be focused on Molokai, which is probably the most mysterious of all the Hawaiian Islands in a lot of ways. People tend to know very little about Molokai, and that's because they don't build resorts on this island, and they don't advertise. They're not interested in catering to tourism like the other islands. This is the old school island. This is where the hula dance originated on the west end of Molokai. This is also a much bigger island than it appears from this angle. This is a long, skinny island. You can see it on the map up here if you look up at the front. We are right here, and we're looking at the eastern tip of Molokai, which kind of looks like a thumb. We're looking at the Cape Halava right there, the eastern tip of the island. Now, this island's quite large. It's actually about half the size of Maui, but it only has 8,000 people living on it. And about half the people living here are native Hawaiians. And they're just not interested in building a lot of infrastructure and developments over here. There are no traffic signals on Molokai. There's no Costco, no Walmart, not even a Starbucks on Molokai. And where we're going to be going today, there are no roads at all. We're going to see some of the most remote places in the Hawaiian Islands, places you can only see in a helicopter. And I think you'll agree when we leave the island, this could be the best kept secret in Hawaii. What we're looking at here is a little island off the coast up there ahead of us. Most of the helicopter pilots call this Elephant Rock. So a lot of people say it looks like an elephant. Some people say no, it looks more like a turtle. And a lot of people say it looks like a couple of rocks. But I always thought that Hammerhead Rock would be a good name for it because this is where the hammerhead sharks breed. Sometimes in the morning, we'll see a dive boat out here. Came all the way from Lahaina on Maui just to scuba dive with hammerhead sharks. Since they don't cater to tourism here, they do a lot of fishing and farming and cattle ranching to get by. That series of green pastures up there is one of the cattle ranches. This is called the Murphy Ranch. And we're going to fly over the Murphy Ranch into the valley on the other side. That's called Halava Valley. People have been living in it for about 1,500 years. And this corresponds to about the same time that the first Polynesians discovered these islands. This is one of the first settlements in Hawaii. It's also the subject of a recent documentary called Sons of Halava. So if you're interested in learning more about this valley after we leave, you can check that out on pbs.org. It's an interview with Greg Salatorio and his father, Filippo Salatorio. And they're the caretakers of this valley. And they're also the caretakers of the customs and traditions of the valley. And they're still growing the taro root in this valley just like their ancestors did for 1,500 years. So the first Polynesians arrived here from what is known as French Polynesia today, specifically the Marquesas Islands. After a 2,300-mile journey across the open ocean in double-hulled catamarans with no compasses, just their knowledge of the stars and celestial navigation. And they arrived here, the first people here 1,500 years ago, and they settled in valleys like this one because it has fresh water flowing through it. They could plant the taro root here, the staple of their diet, and that's still a big part of the Hawaiian diet today. And of course, that's what they make poi out of. We're going to take a look at the source of that fresh water. It'll be coming up on the left side first, and then we'll come back around on the right. This is Halava Falls.
Does that flow year round?
Yeah, I've never seen it dry up, not this one. See a lot of rain on this island. But those were the warm-up waterfalls. I didn't want to blow your minds right off the bat. This island's full of surprises, and the first one's coming up right in front of us. The tallest sea cliffs on Earth are on the north shore of Molokai, some places over 3,000 feet. And we're going to do some cliff diving right here. I'm going to take you over to a valley, show you a 2,000-foot waterfall called Papalaua. Watch the clouds forming right in front of our eyes right here. Alright, that's Papalaua, 2,000-foot waterfall. We're on the north shore, and these really are the tallest sea cliffs on Earth. The reason why we have such steep and tall cliffs here is because of a major earthquake that occurred here approximately 1.5 million years ago. So this earthquake caused a huge portion of this island to break off and sink. And this generated a massive tsunami wave that traveled in that direction at over 500 miles an hour, as fast as the airplane that brought you to Hawaii. And this wiped out Southern California. Of course, there was nobody home at the time. It was over 1 million years ago. This valley up here on our left is called Wailau, and as remote as it is with no roads in or out of it, there are about 4 people living down here. No electricity, just living off the land, fishing, farming, and hunting axis deer and wild boar in this valley. This is pretty old school Hawaiian style living here. they don't have a boat or a helicopter, they're pretty committed to living here all year round. This is the highest point on the sea cliff right here. This is over 3,000 feet, about 3,300 feet to be exact. And we're going to continue down a little ways, and then we're going to turn around and come back. There's some more waterfalls here along the sea cliffs. I want to take you to this next valley, which is called Pelekunu. This valley is probably the most remote place in Hawaii. There's really no way to get here except for by helicopter. Now, what the island of Molokai is probably most famous for, or infamous for, is that peninsula right there in front of us. This is called Kalaupapa. From 1866 until 1969, just over 100 years, this is where they quarantined people with leprosy. There was an active leper colony on Molokai for more than 100 years. And that's the single fact that most people tend to know about this island. And it's probably why they don't have a lot of tourism over here too. Ironically, the biggest tourist attraction on the island is the leper colony now, because Father Damien, he was the Catholic priest that moved here in 1873 and spent the last 16 years of his life improving the living conditions for the patients there until he himself passed away from leprosy. And then more than 100 years later, in the year 2009, the Catholic Church declared him to be a saint. So today people are making pilgrimages over here to see where St. Damien lived and worked. Probably not real high up on your bucket list of things to do while you're in Hawaii. We're going to fly into Wailau Valley. We're going to fly all the way through Wailau Valley to get to the south side of the island. South side looks completely different. Instead of tall sea cliffs, we're going to go look at the longest coral reef in the United States. And we'll probably get a couple of bumps in this valley here. It's nothing to worry about. It's kind of like going out in a boat. You're going to hit some waves every now and then. Once we get past this ridge line, it'll calm down a little bit, and we'll start our descent down to the shoreline. Looking at the longest coral reef in the United States. The reef is 28 miles long. It's also one of the most pristine coral reefs in Hawaii because they don't have a lot of commercial activity on them, and they don't have a lot of agricultural runoff to destroy the reef, pesticides and stuff like that. So we're going to head offshore here at the most spectacular part of the reef, Kamalo Wharf, and we'll drop down and take a look. As you look along the shoreline, you see all these rock walls that they've built out into the ocean. These are Hawaiian fish ponds, and they've been building these out here for more than 800 years. It's an ingenious way to fish. A lot of work on the front end. You have to build a rock wall out into the ocean. But when they're operating correctly and when they're finished, they do most of the work for you. When they're totally functional, they have the sluice gates built into them, and that allows them to open the gates before the tide comes in. And then right before the tide goes out, they just close the gate. Just like that, you got a pond full of fish. Between the taro farms and the fish ponds in ancient Hawaii, they really didn't have to work very hard to feed large populations. And that gave the Hawaiians a lot of leisure time to develop a very rich culture. And they invented surfing in Hawaii. On this island, they invented the hula dance, which was a big part of their history and storytelling because they didn't have a written language. Black spot in the water down there is a giant manta ray. See it down there in the shallow water to the right? It's about 6 or 7 feet across. There are a couple of them right on the edge of the reef right there. On the point right there too. All right, Becky, right here on this point right here, you'll see one, and then there's another one across over there in the shallow reef. I've seen tiger sharks out here too. I saw a 12-foot tiger shark out here about a month ago.
Do they offer snorkeling trips out here or no?
There's really not much tourism on this island. I've brought my snorkel gear over here before and snorkeled out here. It's pretty phenomenal. Just find a beach or swim off the beach. Until you see the 12-foot tiger sharks, and then you may. All right, the island on your right over here, the island of Lanai, at one time produced more pineapples than any place in the world. Today, pineapples are really not a big part of the economy in Hawaii anymore. Other countries are growing them a lot cheaper than they can do it here today. But back in 1920, James Dole of Dole Pineapples bought that whole island right there for $1.1 million, less than 100 years ago. Today, you can barely buy a house in Hawaii for $1 million. Things have changed that quickly. And now the island is owned by Larry Ellison, who is the chairman of the board of Oracle Software. He paid $560 million for the island about 3 or 4 years ago. And that's still an incredibly good deal for a whole island in Hawaii. Well, I'd hate to see his property taxes. He's trying to get people to come over there. He just renovated the 2 Four Seasons resorts on the island. He owns all the hotel rooms on the island. You can fly over there and rent a Jeep, drive all over the island on Jeep trails. You can also take 5 boats a day from Lahaina Harbor over to Mandalay Bay. A ferry service that goes over there. And another island up ahead of us there, that's the island of Kaho'olawe. And that's the uninhabited island. The U.S. Navy bombed it from 1941 until 1991. It was a bombing range for 50 years. Dropped over 2,500 tons of bombs on that island right there. A lot of those bombs didn't go off and are still there. And that's why they won't let you go within 2 miles of Kaho'olawe today. As we get a little closer to West Maui, you'll see Kaanapali Beach coming into view a little bit clearer. Anybody staying over here at Kaanapali? You guys in Wailea or Kihei? Those are the 2 most popular places to stay on the island. Kaanapali Beach, very popular. This was the first place they developed on the island back in the 1960s. And notice there's a kind of a dark lava rock dividing the beach in half. It's got the Sheraton on top of it. This is Black Rock, and I guarantee you they wouldn't get a building permit to put a Sheraton on top of Black Rock today. But back in the 60s, nobody seemed to object. It wasn't really until the 1970s that the Hawaiians really started revitalizing their culture, which was really kind of slowly slipping away. And this has been continuing ever since. They've been totally teaching the Hawaiian culture. In fact, they have immersion schools where they teach everything in Hawaiian, in the language of the Hawaiian language. So the reason why they wouldn't put a Sheraton on top of Black Rock today is because it is the westernmost point on the island. And in ancient Hawaii, they believed if you passed away on the island, this is the point where your spirit would depart the physical world. So if you happen to be down here at the end of the day, at sunset, every single day the Hawaiians perform the cliff diving ceremonies off of Black Rock. So they're worth checking out. Just to the right of Kaanapali Beach is Lahaina Town. And if you're staying over here, you guys have probably been to Lahaina, haven't you? Yeah, if you haven't been to Lahaina, I would recommend it. There's a lot of history there. And the front street's a lot of fun. A lot of good restaurants and stores and galleries and stuff like that. This little town here was the first capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii. Back in the 1830s, King Kamehameha III chose Lahaina Town to be the capital. But what you got to remember is back in the 1830s, it was Honolulu and Lahaina. These were the two biggest cities in Hawaii. Well, Honolulu, with its protected port, you know, the Pearl Harbor, was able to get a lot more ships in there for shipping and trade. And Honolulu just continued to grow for the next 200 years. Lahaina Town here really hasn't changed very much. But it's also still a great place to anchor a boat. You can see all the boats out here. And you'll notice that the waves stop right here, and it gets very smooth. You're on the backside of the island, sheltered from the wind. And that's also why it's so dry. You can see there's a desert right here next to Lahaina. So only 4 inches of rain per year falls on this part of the island. This is what they call the wind shadow. There's a white smokestack sticking up right in the middle of Lahaina Town. That's all that's left of the old Pioneer Sugar Mill from 1860. Back then, all these fields, 10,000 acres planted with sugarcane. Today, Maui has 36,000 acres of sugarcane right in the middle of the island. But after 150 years of growing sugar here, they just announced 6 weeks ago this will be the last year. So they lost $30 million last year, and they're looking to make money. And that's got a lot of people nervous. They own 36,000 acres of real estate right in the middle of the island, and they're looking to make money. So nobody really wants to see this island develop like Oahu. And we're hoping they'll keep it agricultural in some way. Considering that we import 80% of our vegetables to the island. Pretty ridiculous considering we have a year-round growing season. We have plenty of water, we have fertile volcanic soil, and they've been growing sugarcane out there forever. So maybe they should grow something more useful. Keep the groceries, the expenses down a little bit.
I see a little basketball court too.
Ah, good eyes. Are people playing basketball on it? What's the score?
0.
They started growing coffee on this island. Look over here on the left. This is a coffee plantation. And coffee is doing really well. And you probably see a lot more coffee on this part of the island. So back in the 1840s and 1850s, all the boats out here would have been whaling ships. And they were hunting the humpback whale from Lahaina on a pretty massive scale. 1846 was the peak of the whaling industry. And that year they documented 429 whaling vessels anchored off the coast. And every night, all those rowdy sailors who come ashore on Front Street turn this place into the Wild West. You also see a football field down here on your right. This is part of Lahaina Lunas High School. And this school was started by Christian missionaries in the 1820s. It's been in continuous operation ever since. Today it's the high school. But everybody wants to know what this big L is on the hill in front of us. At the end of the school year in the 1800s, the students would climb up this hill the night before graduation and set that big L on fire. And this was a signal fire to their families on Lanai and Molokai. And that told them to get in their canoes and come over for graduation the next day. The class of 2016 just set it on fire about a month ago, I guess now. So they still keep the tradition alive. Alright, we're going to head into the West Maui Mountains. This whole side of the island is one big extinct volcano. And since it hasn't erupted in hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years, all the rain up here in these mountains has carved out all these valleys we're about to fly through. Starting with Laniapoko, which is the first one. Alright, this next valley in front of us is called Olowalu. And Olowalu is full of kukui nut trees. And those are the light green trees you see down here on the valley floor. Kukui nut tree is the state tree of Hawaii. They used it for all kinds of purposes in ancient Hawaii. They call these razorback ridge lines. They divide the valleys from one another. We're going to cross over this one from Olowalu into Iao. Iao Valley, the next one here, is the Valley of Supreme Enlightenment, and a very sacred place to the Hawaiian people. This is where a lot of the chiefs are buried.
Well, the day when they said that the warriors will live forever, no, they have gone, and they're only living in the legends now. You can hear the spirits crying in the wind, lost without a trace at all, left their writings on the wall. Battles of long ago. Where did all the people go?
Alright, the last valley up here is called Waikapu. And this valley is named after a sacred conch shell. They would keep this conch shell in the cave in the back of the valley in ancient Hawaii. And they say if you blew the conch shell in that cave, the acoustics of this valley would project that sound across the island like a giant speaker. You could hear the conch shell from miles away. And they would use this to warn the island of invasion by other islands. This kind of thing happened quite frequently. Alright, we're about to leave the mountains and head into the airspace for Kaului. So I need to wrap up my tour so I can talk to the tower. And I'd like to say it was a pleasure to meet everybody. Bree and Hudson and Jake and Becky, hope y'all enjoyed the flight. Now come back and see us again, and if you ever come back to Hawaii, you'll fly on 4 different islands. If you enjoyed the tour that I put together for you, the narration and the music, you can do me a huge favor just by signing our guest book in the lobby. Just write a quick review of the flight, tell us what you thought of it. That's how they evaluate my performance as a pilot and a tour guide. And if you use TripAdvisor, we appreciate those too. Once again, my name's Rick. On behalf of the whole Blue Crew, aloha and mahalo. We'll be on the ground here in about 4 minutes.
Wasted time trying to be someone on the other side. It's the grass ain't greener no matter where you live. It's too much taking, not enough give. Oh, take it easy, take your time. Please don't worry, it'll be alright. 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 Hey, release your mind. It's time to fly. You don't need a reason to feel alright. Cause dreams are true in so many ways. All you need to do is take a step of faith, yeah. Take it easy, take your time. Please don't worry, it'll be alright. 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 Be real, believe. side. The world is yours. Take it. On the island, we do it island style. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. On the island, we do it island style. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. Hey! Mama's in the kitchen cooking dinner real nice. Beef stew on the stove, no mess I'm in with the ice. We eat and drink and we sing all day. Kanika pina in the old Hawaiian way. On the island, we do it island style. Yeah. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. On the island, we do it island style. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. Yeah, we go grandma's house on the weekend clean yard. If we no go, grandma gotta work hard. Yeah. You know my grandma, she like to pour real sour. Ooh, I love my grandma every minute, every hour. On the island, we do it island style. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. On the island, we do it island style. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side.